everyone, let's talk about adjusting prices for inflation. Now, there's definitely different ways to do this, so if you have your own way and you're getting the right answer every time, that's perfectly fine with me. So here's the question. In 1987, the average salary for Major League Baseball players was $412,000. How much would this salary be in 2008 if the salary change was just impacted by inflation? This is called adjusted salary, meaning oftentimes your employer will adjust your salary to match the inflation rate, which makes sense, right? Because if the prices of gas and housing and food go up, your salary should go up the same exact rate. So let's go ahead and try this problem. I don't know what I just did. Okay. So first of all, we have to figure out what the CPI is for 1987. Well, I'm going to go ahead and circle that. That's 113.6. And then I'm going to go ahead and find the CPI for 2008, which is 215.3. So we're going to create a proportion. In fact, I'm going to actually use different colors. I feel like that's really going to help us. All right. So my blue is going to represent 2008. Okay, so blue is going to be equal to 2008. And my black is going to be equal to 1987. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a proportion, and I'm going to go black over black equals blue over blue. And this is something that is really, truly helpful on the SAT. Anytime you're kind of comparing two values, usually they give you 3 out of the 4 pieces of information. All right, so what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have, and we're just going to try to keep this consistent, I'm going to do my price over CPI, and then I'm going to go price over CPI. All right, so for example, for black, I want to know in 1987 what was the price or what was the amount. In this case, it's going to be $412,000, and this is in 1987. Divided by the CPI of 1987, which in this case is going to be 113.6, right? I remember I got that right here. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the same proportion, the same exact order, but this time it's going to be for 2008. The price, or the amount of money, right, I'm going to put that as X, and then the CPI for 2008 is 215.3. Now, obviously, I don't need my dollar sign, so I can kind of get rid of that. But what I'm going to do now is cross and solve. So 113.6 times X is 113.6X. And then I'm going to do 215.3 times 412,000. That gives me this value right here. All right, and next step, I'm going to solve for X by dividing by 113.6. All right, those cancel, and I'm left with an X equals, I'm going to divide that big number by 113.6, and I get 7,80841. So that's going to be 0.55. Sorry, my handwriting got a little messy here. All right, so that's about 780,000. So if this player's salary went up just due to inflation, their salary should be at about 780,000. Actually, the average salary in 2008 was 3.2 million, not 780,000. So this is more than 4 times the adjusted salary. So what does this say about baseball salaries and inflation? Well, it says that baseball salaries have outpaced inflation. Now, if you're a track star, you might know what outpacing someone means. It basically means that you're going faster. So baseball salaries have gone way faster, way bigger compared to inflation. So that's a phrase that you oftentimes see out in the financial world. All right, let's try another one. The cost of gas in 1976 was 59 cents. How much would the same gas cost in 2008 if price changes were just due to inflation? Well, there could be other reasons why gas might go up. It could be some sort of political issue, or maybe there's a lack of gas. But let's just talk about if it was just due to inflation, what would 59 cents gas be in 2008? All right, again, I'm going to use my colors. So I'm going to make 1976 59 cents. So where's my 1976? My CPI is here. So I'm going to have this divided by this equals, and then I'm going to have blue over blue. Well, 2008 is going to be my blue, and so my 2008 CPI is 215, and then I want to know the price. All right, so again, what is this formula? You're basically saying price over CPI, price over CPI. And of course, these have to match. It has to be price over CPI, price over CPI. You can't swap those two, or else that's not a true proportion. All right, so let's go ahead and let's plug in. So my price for my 1976, that was my black, is going to be 59 cents or 0.59. And my CPI, again, is 56.9, and that's for the same exact year. All right, now, what's my price for the blue? Well, my blue is the 2008. So I don't know that value. That's what I'm trying to find. All right, but what I do know is the CPI for 2008, and that value is 215.3. All right, next up here is just to cross and solve, and then we'll be done. So x times 56.9 is a 56.9x. And then I do 215.3 times 0.59, 215.3 times 0.59, and that's going to give me 127.027. Okay, next I'm going to divide by 56.9. And I like these problems because you can really check your work that they make sense at the end. So I get x equals $2.23. And does that make sense for the price of gas in 2008? Yeah, it absolutely does. So $2.23 for the price of gas in 2008. And that's about accurate. All right, a company bought a computer for $30 million in 1985. What would the adjusted cost of that computer cost in 2008 if price changes were just due to inflation? All right, let's go and do blue. Let's make that the 1985. So my 1985 is blue, so that's going to be $30 million, and my 1985 CPI is right here, 107.6. So I'm going to skip the writing the equation because I think we're getting good at this. So I've got my price over my CPI, and now that's going to be equal to my price, which I don't know what that is. But I do know that the CPI in 2008 is 215.3. All right, let's do this calculation. Well, if I cross and solve, oh, you might be upset. I didn't use that red color. All right, this is going to be 107.6x equals, now let's do this times this. I get this really big number right here, but don't forget we have to divide that big number by 107.6. Let's do that math. And that gives me a slightly smaller number, but still pretty big. It gives me x equals 600,27881. And don't forget, you have to bring your commas back 3 from the back. So that's roughly, let's see, hundreds, thousands, millions. So that's roughly $60 million. Now, do you think there's actually a computer that's worth $60 million right now? Of course not. This is one of those examples, unlike the baseball example, where actually the cost of computers is way lower than the rate of inflation. So for example, that same computer actually would cost about $1,000 in 2008, not the $60 million. So we wouldn't say that this outpaced inflation. We would say that The cost of computers has not increased at the same rate of inflation. It increased less. Whoa, what happened there? It increased less. That's hard to say. It increased less. There we go. And that makes sense, right? It's been much easier to make computers now than in 1985. All right. I think this is going to be our last question. I feel like we're getting the hang of this. So in 2018, we have a large Dairy Queen milkshake cost $4.59, and the CPI for 2018 was $2.51. So I'm going to go black with 2018. Now let's talk about 1962. Okay, in 1962, we'll have that be blue. The CPI was 30.3, and what would be the same cost? That's going to be my X, right? That's the price of that milkshake. So we're going to go black over black equals blue over blue. So let's go price, $4.59, over CPI of 251.1. And now, again, we're going to do price over CPI. In this case, we don't know the price. And my CPI is a 30.3. All right, we've got to cross and solve here. So this gives me 251.1x equals, now I've got to do this math right here. All right, when I do 30.3 times 4.59, I get this value right here. I'm going to divide by 251.1. And this is an interesting result. You can see that I actually get a value that's x equals 0.55. And that's 55 cents. Does that make sense that if we have a $4 milkshake now, that in 1962 would be 55 cents? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, these things are just estimates and just talking about inflation. Some things outpace inflation, some things don't. But for the most part, we do see values go up for the price of goods, and inflation can help us understand that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a peaceful day.